I, 28F, met my husband Rob, 30M, 6 years ago through his mother Sarah, 52F, who worked at the same bank as me. Sarah was going through a divorce at the time and seemed nice initially. She kept inviting me to family dinners and eventually introduced me to Rob. We got married after dating for a year. When we first got married, Sarah lost her job at the bank due to downsizing. She couldn't afford her rent anymore and asked if we could help. I was working as a financial analyst making good money, and Rob worked in IT, so we agreed to help until she found another job. Sarah never really looked for work seriously. She would apply to maybe 1 or 2 jobs a month and always had excuses about why they weren't right for her. Rob has a younger sister Amy, 25F, who Sarah clearly favored. When Rob bought his first car, Sarah convinced him to sell it and give the money to Amy for her college tuition. When Rob got a promotion, Sarah told him to help Amy with her rent instead of saving for our future. Rob always gave in because Sarah would guilt him by bringing up how she had raised them alone after their dad Kevin, 54M, left. I later found out from Kevin that Sarah had actually forced him to leave by creating problems between him and the kids. She would tell Rob and Amy that their dad didn't want to see them when Kevin was actually trying to arrange visits. She even moved houses without telling Kevin the new address. Things were manageable until last year when I got pregnant. My pregnancy was very difficult from the start. I had severe morning sickness and complications that required multiple hospital stays. My doctor advised bed rest, and I had to take early maternity leave 3 months before my due date. This meant our household income was reduced by half. I talked to Rob about our finances. We needed to save money for hospital bills and baby items. I suggested we temporarily stop helping Sarah with rent since she had saved enough money to manage on her own. I knew this because I had helped her with her taxes. Rob agreed but wasn't happy about it. When Rob told Sarah, she immediately called me. She said I was trying to control Rob's money and that I had changed after getting pregnant. She brought up how she had introduced Rob to her friend's daughter Claire, 27F, years ago, and how Rob should have married her instead. Sarah kept mentioning that Claire's parents were rich and could have given Rob a better life. This wasn't the first time Sarah had mentioned Claire. Even during our wedding planning, Sarah had shown Rob pictures of Claire's expensive wedding and made comments about how much better it was. She even invited Claire to our wedding without asking us and seated her at the family table. Rob initially defended me when Sarah complained, but she wore him down. She would call him crying late at night saying she would be homeless. She told relatives that I was buying expensive baby items while letting her starve. In reality, I was buying everything secondhand and from discount stores to save money. Sarah started visiting our house more often when I was at home resting. She would make comments about how I was lazy and using my pregnancy as an excuse to not work. She would clean our house without being asked and then tell Rob that I wasn't taking care of his home. She even started cooking and bringing food, claiming I wasn't feeding Rob properly. When I was 8 months pregnant, Sarah came to our house with a folder. Inside were photos of me having lunch with my colleague Mark, 31M, from work. These photos were from a team lunch we had 6 months ago. There were also screenshots of what looked like messages between me and Mark talking about meeting secretly and hoping the baby was his. I was confused because I had never sent these messages. The lunch was a team event with 6 other people to discuss an upcoming project. Mark was happily married with 3 kids, and we had never been anything but professional colleagues. But Sarah had planned this well. She had taken the photos out of context and used some app to create fake messages. She convinced Rob that I had been cheating and that the baby wasn't his. Rob, who had been listening to his mother's negative comments about me for months, believed her without even asking me about it. Rob told me to leave our house immediately. I tried explaining about the team lunch and offered to show him my real messages with Mark, but he wouldn't listen. He said his mother would never lie to him about something this serious. I called Mark to explain to Rob, but Rob said Mark would obviously cover for me. I had to pack some clothes and move in with my sister Jane, 32F. I was due to give birth any day and suddenly I had no home and no husband. I tried reaching out to Amy hoping she would help me talk to Rob, but she sided with her mother. She said she had always thought I was wrong for Rob. Rob's dad Kevin tried talking to him. Kevin told Rob about how Sarah had manipulated him years ago, but Rob said Kevin was just bitter about their divorce. Sarah had already convinced Rob that his dad was a liar who had abandoned them. I gave birth to our daughter Emma 3 weeks after being kicked out. My sister told Rob when I went into labor, but he didn't come to the hospital. Sarah told everyone that I didn't want Rob there, which wasn't true. I named Emma myself and put Rob's name on the birth certificate because I knew the truth, he was her father. Update 1: It's been 2 months since Emma was born and the situation has gotten worse. Rob sent divorce papers through his lawyer last week. He still believes Sarah's lies about Emma not being his child. He hasn't tried to see Emma even once. I found out that Sarah has been telling people I'm refusing to let Rob see the baby. She told Rob's entire family that I changed my phone number and moved away so Rob couldn't find me. This wasn't true. I was still living at my sister's house and had the same phone number. Rob just never tried to contact me. My former colleague Mark's wife Lisa, 30F, contacted me after hearing what happened from other coworkers. Lisa works in digital security and was angry about how Sarah had used pictures of a work lunch to create her lies. She asked me to send her the screenshot Sarah had shown Rob. Lisa looked at the messages and found several problems with them. The timestamps didn't match up with how our company's messaging system worked. The profile picture used in the fake messages was from Mark's Facebook account, but we used Outlook for work communications. She also found evidence that the messages had been created using a message generator app. Lisa helped me get security footage from our office building showing the team lunch Sarah had used as proof of cheating. The footage clearly showed me, Mark, and 4 other team members entering the cafe together and leaving as a group an hour later. While Lisa was investigating, she found something interesting on social media. She discovered old posts from Sarah's Facebook account from when Rob was a baby. Sarah had accused Kevin of not being Rob's father back then. She had created fake evidence similar to what she used against me. Lisa found posts where Sarah talked about getting DNA tests done. Kevin had actually proven he was Rob's father, but Sarah had hidden this information. She had deleted most of these posts, but Lisa found them in archived versions of her profile. I tried to send all this information to Rob but found out he had blocked my number. I sent everything to Amy instead. At first, Amy didn't respond. A week later, she called me. She said she had started looking through old family photos and documents after seeing the evidence. She found letters from Kevin to Rob and her that Sarah had hidden. She also found birthday cards from Kevin that had money in them, money Sarah had taken while telling the kids their father never sent anything for them. Amy finally showed everything to Rob, but Sarah had already prepared for this. She told Rob that I had paid Lisa to create fake evidence. She said I was trying to ruin her relationship with Rob because I was angry about the divorce. Rob believed her again. Sarah then did something even worse. She told Rob to file for custody of Emma if DNA tests proved she was his child. She said I was an unfit mother because I had moved in with my sister instead of getting my own place. She didn't mention that I had to move because they kicked me out. Amy admitted something to me during our call. Sarah had actually asked her to help create the fake messages about me and Mark. Amy had refused but didn't tell Rob because she was afraid of going against her mother. Amy said Sarah had done similar things throughout their childhood, asking Amy to lie about things Kevin supposedly did or said. Sarah started telling relatives that I was mentally unstable and making up stories about her. She said I was obsessed with her and trying to turn her children against her. Some relatives who had known Sarah for years started questioning her story, but she had answers for everything. She told them I had manipulated Lisa and Amy into helping me create fake evidence against her. Rob's aunt Susan, 49F, called me last week. She said Sarah had tried to convince her to tell Rob that she had seen me with other men during my pregnancy. Susan refused and told Sarah she was wrong for trying to destroy her son's marriage. Sarah then told Rob that Susan was lying and was probably helping me because she had always been jealous of Sarah's relationship with her children. I decided to talk to a lawyer about protecting my rights and Emma's future. The lawyer advised me to document everything, Sarah's lies, the evidence Lisa found, and all the relatives Sarah had tried to convince to lie about me. He said we might need this if Rob tried to get custody of Emma. My sister suggested I move to our parents' house in another state until things calmed down. I considered it but decided to stay. Moving away would just prove Sarah right when she tells people I'm trying to keep Emma away from Rob. I won't let her force me to leave my job and support system just because she wants control over her son's life. Update 2: Rob's dad Kevin finally had enough of Sarah's manipulation and stepped in last month. He drove to Rob's office during lunch break because that was the only way to talk to Rob without Sarah being present. Kevin brought a large envelope of documents from 30 years ago. The envelope contained court papers from Kevin's divorce from Sarah, including DNA test results that proved Rob was his son. There were printed emails where Sarah admitted to creating false evidence about Kevin cheating. Kevin even had a letter from Sarah's sister written during their divorce, describing how Sarah had faked evidence. Kevin explained everything to Rob. He told Rob how Sarah had accused him of not being Rob's father when Rob was just 1 year old. Sarah had shown Kevin fake messages between his brother and herself, claiming Rob was actually his brother's child. Kevin had immediately gotten a DNA test which proved he was Rob's father, but Sarah still managed to turn the situation around and make Kevin look like the bad guy. Kevin also told Rob about the money he had sent for him and Amy every month after the divorce. Sarah had kept all of it while telling the kids their father never supported them. He showed Rob bank statements proving the transfers. He even had receipts from birthday presents he had sent that Rob and Amy never received. While Kevin was telling Rob everything, Amy called Rob. She had spent weeks going through old family videos and found footage from Rob's 10th birthday party. In the video, Sarah was clearly taking Kevin's gift, a gaming console, out of its box and telling Rob it was from her. Amy had more videos showing similar incidents. Amy finally told Rob the full truth about the fake messages Sarah had tried to create about me. Sarah had initially asked Amy to say she saw me and Mark together at a hotel. When Amy refused, Sarah tried to convince Amy's boyfriend to say he had seen us. Amy's boyfriend had also refused, but Amy admitted she should have told Rob immediately instead of staying quiet. Rob's cousin Jenny, 29F, also came forward with information. Jenny worked at the bank where Sarah and I used to work. She told Rob that Sarah had been fired for creating problems between co-workers, not because of downsizing like she had claimed. Sarah had a history of spreading rumors and creating fake evidence to get people in trouble. After learning all this, Rob finally agreed to meet Emma. The meeting happened at my sister's house with my parents present. Emma was 3 months old by then and looked exactly like Rob. She had his blue eyes and the same birthmark on her shoulder that Rob has. Rob asked to do a DNA test, which I agreed to immediately. We used a highly recommended testing facility and got the results in a week. The test confirmed what I knew: Rob was Emma's father. The test showed 99.99% probability of paternity. Rob tried to apologize after getting the test results. He said he had been stupid to believe his mother's lies. He talked about how Sarah had always controlled his life, choosing his college, his career, and even trying to choose his wife. He admitted that he had almost married Claire years ago because Sarah kept pushing for it. But I wasn't ready to just forgive and forget. Rob had thrown me out of our house when I was 8 months pregnant. He hadn't even bothered to check if I was okay during the last month of my pregnancy. He had missed Emma's birth and her first 3 months of life because he chose to believe lies without giving me a chance to explain. Update 3: These past 6 months have shown everyone Sarah's true nature. After Rob confronted her with all the evidence, she tried to justify her actions. She claimed she created the fake messages about me because she could tell I was cheating, even if she couldn't prove it. She said she had to protect Rob because he was too trusting. Rob finally saw how toxic his mother was. He looked back at his life and realized how Sarah had controlled everything. She had convinced him to study engineering instead of music, which he loved. She had made him take a job near her house instead of accepting a better offer in another city. She had even chosen his first apartment, claiming the ones he liked weren't good enough. Rob moved out of Sarah's house and found his own apartment. He told Sarah he was selling the house he had bought for her since she had savings of her own. Sarah tried to fight this by telling relatives that Rob was leaving her homeless, but Rob showed them proof of her healthy bank balance. Amy also cut contact with Sarah after discovering more lies. She found out Sarah had sabotaged her relationship with her high school boyfriend because he had encouraged Amy to study abroad. Sarah had created fake social media accounts to send Amy screenshots of her boyfriend supposedly cheating. Amy had ended that relationship without questioning the evidence, just like Rob had done with me. Rob tried to stop our divorce proceedings. He sent me long emails explaining how therapy was helping him understand Sarah's manipulation. He talked about wanting to be a family with Emma and me. He suggested marriage counseling and asked for another chance. But I had already moved on. During these 6 months, I had found a better job that paid more and had better benefits for single parents. I had moved into my own 2-bedroom apartment and created a stable routine for Emma. I had a good support system with my family and didn't need or want Rob back in my life as a husband. We agreed on a custody arrangement where Rob sees Emma 3 times a week. He's trying to be a good father and I'm glad Emma will have that relationship with him. But our marriage is over, not because we need therapy or counseling, but because trust once broken can't always be fixed. Sarah still tries to cause problems. She made fake social media accounts to message me, claiming she had proof of Rob cheating during our marriage. She told my new boss that I had stolen money from my previous job. She even tried to call child services with false complaints about Emma's care. None of it worked because we had already warned everyone about her behavior and documented her past lies. The last update I got about Sarah was from Amy. Sarah had been telling people she was the victim of a conspiracy. She claimed Rob and I had worked together to frame her because we wanted her money. Some relatives actually believed her, but most people now know the truth about who she really is. Emma is now 9 months old and thriving. Sometimes I think about how different things might have been if Rob had trusted me instead of his mother. But I'm happier now without having Sarah in my life, and I'm glad Emma won't grow up thinking her grandmother's manipulative behavior is normal.